Jerusalem, about 2,700 years ago. The marketplace is bustling with activity. People are buying, selling, talking to one another. Yes, the country is doing well right now. The city of Jerusalem is the capital of the kingdom of Judah. Right now there's a period of calm, of political and economic security. However, only very few people suspect that it will not last long. Only some years later, the Assyrians will bust onto the scene, and Judah will embark in a dangerous gamble. Alliances in grand politics, too grand for the small country. In the end, Judah will be devastated and still manages to get off quite lightly. But now, as I said, everything is still very much in order in the market. There is even a singer performing. I will sing for the one I love a song about his vineyard. My loved one had a vineyard on a fertile hillside. The people are paying attention. They know this image. A vineyard that is an image of love and even eroticism. I wonder how far the singer will go. My loved one had a vineyard on a fertile hillside. He dug it up and cleared it of stones and planted it with the choicest wines. He built a watchtower in it and cut out a winepress as well. Obviously nothing to do with eroticism and lewdness. What a pity. But at least a song about everyday's life. About hard work which they know. Hoeing until the caked soil, gathering the many stones, building a wall with them so that the animals are unable to eat all the vines. And then they plant and build. You only do all that work when you are quite sure that it's worthwhile. The singer sings on. Then he looked for a crop of good grapes, but it yielded only bad fruit. Now you dwellers in Jerusalem and people of Judah, judge between me and my vineyard. What more could have been done for my vineyard than I have done for it? When I looked for good grapes, why did it yield only bad? And the answer is obvious. There is really nothing more that could have been done. One person says the words and everyone nods in agreement. Such a vineyard is not good. And the singer continues, now I will tell you what I am going to do with my vineyard. I will take away its hedge and it will be destroyed. I will break down its wall and it will be trampled. I will make it a wasteland, neither pruned nor cultivated, with briars and thorns growing there. I will command the clouds not to rain on it. Yes, a vineyard that does not yield anything but only makes work is left to run wild. In the end, everything will be overgrown by thorns. But then the song at the marketplace takes a turn. The vineyard of the Lord Almighty is the nation of Israel, and the people of Judah are the wines he delighted in. And he looked for justice, but saw bloodshed, for righteousness, but heard cries of distress. All at once the people feel cold, because this is about them. They themselves are the vineyard in the song. They have not yielded any fruit. One can see that in society in many instances. The law is broken for the benefit of the wealthy. The poor go to the dogs. No one is up for real justice. Most people have settled in comfortably and tell themselves there's nothing they can do. The singer is the prophet Isaiah. The Lord looked for justice, but saw bloodshed, for righteousness, but heard cry of distress. Now go and see what you want to do with this. And it is always some listen and others do not, and time passes. Only a few years later, someone sits in Jerusalem and writes. He has heard Isaiah back then in the market square, and now he recalls the words. Words like desolation, tear down, trample down. He looks around. This is how it has come to be. The Assyrians have passed over the land Judah has allied itself with them, considered itself clever, and thought it could play with the big boys. But at the end, it all was gone. Devastation, torn down, trampled down. Where there has been life without end, now thorns grow, and the city walls can keep no one out and protect no one. Devastation, tear down, trample down. Yes, we had it coming, the writer thinks. The Lord looked for justice, but saw bloodshed, for righteousness, but heard cries of distress. And so he writes down what he then saw and heard in the marketplace. Wrongdoing leads to destruction. Injustice leads to desolation. Based on his interpretation, this is quite logical. The vineyard lies fallow because people did not want to listen. A story that repeats itself again and again until today. That is the one story, a story that can dishearten people. I hear Jesus. I am the true vine, and my Father is the cultivator of vines. I am the vine, and you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, bears much fruit. There is still life in the vineyard. But that is not because we are so great. That is God's doing. Because God's love does not give up on us. This is why I do not want to give up on either. And I am not alone. You are here also. We are working together in God's vineyard. We dig and hoe, even when the ground is hard and cracked. We pick up stones and put them aside. We do not throw the first stone, but build protective walls for the oppressed. A little justice in this world. Justice instead of breaking the law. Justice instead of the cries of distress. And then perhaps something small will grow. God let something small grow. Crooked wood and yet alive. Where there is the cross, life flourishes. I am the vine, and you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit. That's the other story, the one that gives hope and encouragement. I take up the spade in a world full of shrubs and thorns. Yes, work is hard, and the grapes are not always sweet. And by our standards, it is often not enough. And by God's standards, justice instead of lawlessness, justice instead of the cries of distress, it's also not enough. But what are we supposed to do other than dig, water, protect? We cannot give up. We have one hope, we have one task, to bear fruit as best we can. No more, no less. And something will grow. Amen.